Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to wherever you may be or whatever time you may be watching this. Welcome to the fifth episode of the LVM podcast. My name is Rebecca Benny, and today I will be talking about the week after my mother's murder and breaking the news to other people. So, for those that may not have seen the previous episode, the fourth episode of the LVM podcast, where I talked about the day of finding out about my mother's murder, it basically took place on a Sunday. So it was a weekend. And I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately, whatever, but it was on a Labor Day weekend during my first week of school. So I had that Monday off. So basically, that Monday, I spent most of the day, I can't really remember what happened. Like, honestly, the whole week in general was a huge blur. For me, a lot of the days kind of merged together. I don't even know which events really. I know the major events on which days they took place, but not like some of the smaller details. So, pretty much the rest of that afternoon, it was spent at my cousin's house, mainly planning for the wake or viewing, whichever you may call it, or like just funeral preparations. And the rest of the day afterwards, we would have like prayer and other family members or people like from our community come over to give their condolences and whatnot. But honestly, most of that time, I just didn't really want to be seen or have people looking at me. So I would just stay downstairs with my cousins while they play video games, just to like as a distraction. And like part of me kind of just tune out and like not really care like what they were doing, but I had to seem like I didn't care so that they didn't know what I was feeling. It was kind of like weird, I guess. So it's like kind of like me forcing myself to laugh so that I don't have to pay attention to like the things that are going upstairs while people are like crying and going crazy and stuff. So, because I didn't want to deal with that. So, it was kind of me just avoiding a lot of things. Um, but obviously, even though I was avoiding a lot of things, I eventually had to go back upstairs, just for respect and whatnot. And I just had to like deal with people staring at me either way, because the elderly people are just gonna be like, "What's wrong with her?" But anyways, but yeah, that's pretty much what Monday consisted of. Just people coming over and whatnot. It's Tuesday morning, and basically, it's kind of like, the day that I have to tell people at my school about it. And it's like, I don't want anybody to know, honestly, because that's just my business. It's my life. Like, you don't need to know. But I mean, I guess it was a huge event in my life that my school has to know something. So, like, this was already like one of the first major changes in like my school lifestyle, because technically my mom was the only person that dropped me off to school, but this time, my dad had to take me to school. So it was already like a different type of change in my life. So it was just me and my dad talking about if I'm going to tell them, like how are we going to tell them and whatnot. Eventually, I decided that, he should tell, I guess, the principal or vice principal or whatever that the news, because I felt that they wouldn't really believe me as much for some reason if I broke the news to them. So I thought my dad would be a more credible source for that. So eventually we do arrive to my school, and I decide to go to my vice principal and tell him the news. So the way he told my vice principal about it was really straight to the point and just very out there. He wasn't cutting anything out. And it really threw me off because the way that my dad said it was pretty much like my wife was stabbed to death. And the type of person that I am, I'm just not like that. And honestly, I have a really bad habit of smiling when I'm uncomfortable. So in that situation, I kind of wanted to laugh, like an uncomfortable laugh where I'm just like, why did you say it like that? Like I started to grin a little bit, just like I turned my head suddenly. I'm just like, what are you doing? You know, are you crazy? But I mean, everyone expresses in a different way. So I had to get over it. But had I known my dad was going to announce it like that, I would have just said it myself, honestly, because I think I'll definitely take that little moment back. But, anyways, I mean, moving forward from that, my vice principal, he offered his condolences and asked if he wants the school to know or like if they want to announce it during morning announcements. I said no, I don't want anybody to know. And pretty much just went on with my school day just normally. So yeah, after walking out of the vice principal office, my dad and I, we just left and just said, just get through the day. For the rest of the day, I was pretty much worried how I was going to tell my friends or break it to them, because the night before I was really thinking whether I should even tell them or not. But obviously I decided that I should. And I decided that, I would just have all of us meet in like the chapel. I went to a private school, so we had a chapel there. And since it was like a secluded area, it was just best to have everyone grouped together so I can just let everyone know all together. So eventually lunch arrives, and I usually eat in a whole nother area besides the cafeteria because I did not like to be near people. But I did eat with one main person. Usually I knew her like since we were much younger, like in elementary school days, and plus her mom was the school nurse at our elementary school, so I knew her mom also. So the reason why I'm saying this is because the night before and that whole day, a part of me was just so worried because I knew her mom watched the news. So part of me was just really worried that my friend would bring up her mom watching the news or something. I don't know why I worried about this, but for some reason, it was just a gut feeling, just knowing that she was going to bring something up. And guess what? She did bring it up. And that whole time, even before like she brought it up, I was trying to like just create conversation about something else. But it's just one of those things where she was like, "Oh, guess what? My mom saw the news and she saw someone was murdered at Popeyes." And why she would bring this up is because like my mom, my dad, and we all worked under the same management, just at different stores. So she was like, "Do you know who the person was?" So I sat there, and while she was like talking to me about it, I just like, it was like, I was in that uncomfortable position again, kind of like laughing and smiling to myself, just like, what do I do now? Because I wasn't expecting to like tell anyone, but I'm just like, she brought it up. I can't just like, I tried to avoid it. I'm just like, what, don't worry about it. But then I'm just like, what, I have to. So where we're sitting, there's still like a few other people around, and one of my other friends was also there. So there's 3 people in total, including myself. So, I try to have us all move to another secluded area where there's no one. And pretty much, they're both sitting on the couch and I'm standing in front of them. And it's just me just like thinking to myself, like, okay, how do I say this? But, the person that was like the person that your mom like saw on the news was my mother. So pretty much I said that, and both of my friends, they were just sitting there. They pretty much didn't know what to say because it's kind of like out of nowhere. You just never really expect that type of news anyways. So I was just standing there, and honestly I started bursting out of tears. I had to run out of there. So I literally ran in the hallway. Luckily no one saw me. But for some reason, I don't know how, one staff member saw me and they followed me into the bathroom. They're a lady, by the way, so it's not that weird. But anyways, but they stopped me. They're like, do you want to talk to the student counselor or guidance counselor, whatever? I'm just like, yes, I do. So eventually I was like telling myself, okay, I need to calm down. I walk into the chapel. The guidance counselor meets me there, and I start bursting out into tears. I mean, personally, I'm not ready to actually like say what I spoke about, but pretty much everything that I talked to her about was just like a reassurance that I was allowed to feel the way I felt. Like, no one can tell me how I can feel, especially with like having a lot of people like come over at my cousin's house like the previous days and having just people stare at me trying to expect like something come out of me. I personally needed to hear that because I was just tired of like, I don't know, just people just staring at me and expecting me to like, I don't know, cry in front of everyone. Like, I don't, especially people were coming up to me saying things how I'm supposed to feel when it was quite the opposite. But, I'll talk about that maybe in a future episode, but it was just a lot. But yeah, I mean, it was getting close to the end of lunch time, so unfortunately, as a loser I was like, I can't miss class, so I went to class anyways after that whole situation. I think there was like 2 or 3 periods left, so it was just me just thinking how I'm going to tell the rest of my friends and whatnot. So eventually it comes to the end of the school day, and I have all my friends there. We're in the chapel. It's all secluded, making sure that no one that I don't want to hear about it doesn't hear it, even though it did get to some people that I didn't really want to know, but it's whatever. I moved on from that. So it's finally time for me, to tell my friends. They're all like sitting around while I'm sitting in the chair and whatnot. And I'm just like, I don't really remember exactly how I said it, but I'm just like, thanks for you guys for all coming here. I really just wanted to tell all of you at the same time. But like on Sunday, my mom died. Her coworker murdered her or something along the lines of that. And it was a decent amount of silence that I knew I had to like, I knew everyone was kind of in shock. They didn't really expect me to say something like that. So a part of me felt like I needed to do something to make it more believable. So I decided to cry. It was kind of a forced cry. I don't know if it was forced or not, but a part of me feels like it was, and then a part of me feels like it was just, just pent up emotions also. But I pretty much just like went forward so no one could see my face crying, but I cried. And then, then you could just like feel the energy around about everybody like understanding like I'm not lying about this. It's true. So, which is actually funny because I think a few months later, one of my friends actually told me, she was like, I didn't believe what you said until you started crying. And then I realized you were telling the truth. I'm just like, yeah. So I guess a part of me is like, it's a good thing I did that, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's weird. Maybe I'm crazy or something, but that was that. And, it was nice to tell all my friends at that moment. One of my friends did have like a little prayer for me after I told them, which was nice. So shout out to you if you know who you are, if you're watching this video. but yeah, so that was pretty much it. After breaking the news to my friends, there was some friends afterwards that, didn't show up, so I had to tell separately, which I'll probably talk about later. But honestly, that was probably the last time I ever told anyone about my mother, only because, they were there, like, in that, like, near the day of, so I'm just like, might as well tell someone. There's only 2 other people I told during college, and I low-key regret it. I'll explain why in future episodes, but I don't think there's anyone else I've told after that that I haven't told. That I have told, I mean. Yeah, there's no one else I have told after that. I think just from now on, I just don't really talk to anyone about it. But yeah, I mean, it's not really a big deal. It's kind of just like a more uncomfortable situation that, I don't know. But yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, I'll be talking about the rest of the week after finding out within the next episode, which will be coming out in July. That'll be part 2 of this video. If you guys would like to watch that video, you can subscribe and you'll see when it comes out. Please like this video also if you would like to. If you're listening to this on a podcast streaming platform, thank you so much. And I hope you guys will just join me on this journey, and I'll see you at the next episode. Bye.